Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is making a big endorsement. It's January 15th, 2024, and these are your headlines. Well, I hope everybody is staying warm. I know it's cold here. I'm sure it's cold where you are. I'm actually right now in Beaumont, where later tonight, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is going to hold a rally for David Covey, along with the True Texas Project. David Covey is one of the Republican primary challengers to House Speaker Dade Phelan. Should be interesting. We'll have that report up at Texas Scorecard. I'm sure we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. But first, with the Republican primary election less than 2 months away, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has officially waded into his first Texas House race of the cycle. Today, Lieutenant Governor Patrick announced his endorsement of Helen Kerwin, who's running against State Representative Dwayne Burns. Burns was one of 21 Republicans who sided with Democrats to kill a school choice proposal in the House late last year. He was also among those who voted to impeach Attorney General Ken Paxton. Kerwin, who has previously served as the mayor of Glen Rose, also has Governor Greg Abbott's endorsement in this race. Now, the endorsement marks the first one by Patrick this year against a sitting member of the Texas House. Patrick had previously said he generally does not get involved in House races. It also comes one day before Speaker Dade Phelan is slated to join a fundraising event for Dwayne Burns. Primary election is March 5th. Early voting begins February 20th. I said it was cold, and as an Arctic blast sweeps across Texas, renewed calls for reliable energy are surfacing. Senior fellow with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, Jason Isaac, commented last evening that fossil fuels are keeping the lights on and heat on in Texas. They're the only sources of generation that, at a moment's notice, can increase their output. We need more coal and natural gas. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which oversees the state's power grid, issued a conservation appeal Sunday afternoon for Monday morning between 6 and 10 a.m. Lawmakers, policy analysts, and citizens responded by calling for more reliable energy sources, as ERCOT cited unseasonably low wind as one of the reasons for the appeal. Additionally, solar energy isn't available during the early morning hours before sunrise. Although the grid conditions weren't as tight as expected and they returned to normal conditions around 10 a.m., the calls for reliable energy continue to ring out as Texans remember the impact of Winter Storm Uri in 2021. How could you forget that? Left many Texans in the dark as unreliable renewable energy sources like wind and solar failed. Energy expert Bill Peacock says renewables are a fraud on American taxpayers and renewable subsidies are theft. Thank God for reliable energy for keeping the lights on right now. It may not be over, though. ERCOT has announced another conservation appeal for tomorrow morning between 6 and 9 a.m., asking Texans to conserve power if it is safe to do so.
If you're not watching the Luke Macias Show, then you are not as engaged as everybody else is in Texas who's trying to make a difference, knowing exactly what's going on so that they can take action on the things that really matter. Guys, watch us on the Roku app for Texas Scorecard. Watch us on YouTube. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Get engaged, get more informed, so together we can actually make a bigger difference on things that matter for the future of Texas. God bless you.
Lastly, as so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion practices continue to be revealed in various government institutions, the Tarrant County Republican Party has passed a resolution calling for an end to DEI policies in all taxpayer-funded institutions. The county party's executive committee, made up of locally elected precinct chairs, unanimously passed the resolution at their meeting last week. Carlos Tercios, who's the precinct chair who authored the resolution, called DEI a poison in the mindset of the younger generations and a poison to Texas and America. He said DEI promotes diversity hires, which discriminate against white Americans, Asian Americans, and other racial groups that do not fit within an oppressed minority class. The resolution also points out that DEI, through a critical race theory lens, promotes anti-white racism as it argues that white Americans are the reason why discrepancies in GDP per capita, education level, wealth, and other areas exist between white Americans and other racial groups. The resolution says this deteriorates race relations. Now, the county party encourages other GOP county executive committees, auxiliaries, and conservative groups to join the call to end DEI practices in taxpayer-funded institutions and pass similar resolutions across the state. Texas Scorecard, of course, has covered multiple incidents where taxpayer-funded institutions have promoted DEI, including the Texas Department of Transportation and multiple state universities. You can see more of today's stories at texasscorecard.com.